we're about to. Yes. Hi. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dave Cohen. I am a director here at Mina Partners, and I'm really happy that you've taken some time to join us today. If you're listening live, welcome wherever you are in the world. And if you're listening to this as a recording, thanks for making a little time to dial in. We hope we have a very interesting and informative program for you today. I'm excited to be able to share the time with my partner and friend, colleague, Donnell Martinez, who is the director and the head of our privacy technology and technology optimization center of excellence here at Mina Partners. And we'll get started with the conversation in just a minute. But before we do, I wanted to let everybody out there know that if you have questions in the 20 minutes or so that we have today, please feel free to enter them into the comments section below, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. So, Donnell, as we get started here, do you want to just talk a little bit about your current role and maybe a little bit about your background so you can provide some context for the audience in terms of the experience and skills that you bring to the current post here?
Thanks, Dave. We have a group of engineers that their focus is finding opportunities to optimize your technology stack across privacy and compliance requirements. I personally have background in development, and I also have a long background in audit and compliance, hence my white hair. So I had the opportunity to see both together, see how one works with the other, see how they uh, conflict with each other, and I feel that what I've been more interested to note is how sometimes the conversations they seem to speak a different language, and I've been very blessed to have the opportunity to be kind of that bridge between those conversations.
Yeah, I know that on a lot of the engagements, you and the team have are well versed in both the technical knowledge and the ability to talk to engineers, but also to liaison with other departments, for instance, legal and marketing, et cetera. Yeah.
That's right, and that's part of I think our the strength of our team, having the ability to kind of fill the blanks of what's necessary and then connect the dots, find that middle ground, because sometimes the situation is making sure that everyone is aligned, everyone has their own objectives in terms of the expectations of how they want to meet up the requirements of what comes in their desk. And
Mhm.
part of our job is making sure we understand what the requirements are so we can make sure everything works the best possible for everyone involved.
Exactly. Our goal is always, of course, to complete every engagement with a happy and satisfied customer where the expectations have been met. So we work hard to be able to get clear about that from the beginning all the way through the project and to the completion of the project. So Donnell, in order to help our audience understand a little bit about your particular service line within Mina Partners and what your team is capable of and what they do, would you like to share with us some of your current engagements? Just what are the types of challenges that the companies that your team is working with now are facing? And then what are some of the solutions that our team has been able to help them implement?
Yeah, so some examples I have. We have a global organization which has customers across the world, and the the technology stack as it relates to consent is spread around multiple systems, multiple people, multiple areas and programs. So what we've worked with this organization is to harmonize that process to
Mhm.
make sure the customer experience is as optimized as possible
Right.
to benefit the reputation of the organization. The reputation sometimes is very important for them. So that's one of the areas that we've been focusing on in the past and currently.
Yeah. And Danelle, you and I were chatting about this just before we went live on the program here. Um, the kind of the concept that in order to be within regulatory compliance requirements, for instance, for consumer requests to opt out of marketing messages, if you don't have efficient processes in your company to be able to honor those requests, you're basically sending out marketing messages to people who have actively requested to be taken off those lists. So not only are you not accomplishing the request of the customer, but you're literally building ill will out there in the marketplace with your brand, which is the exact opposite of what you want to do, especially for companies, and a lot of our clients are heavy business to consumer or B2C relationships. So when we get in there and we help them tune up their ability to honor those requests, we're basically not mistakenly sending out those marketing messages to folks that have asked for them to be taken off the lists, right?
That's right, and a big part of it is because it's sometimes it's easier said than done, right?
Mhm.
And the interesting thing is we all have our own agenda. We have our list of to do. So when we add this extra activity into it, it's a little harder to accomplish. So a big piece that we focus on in technology stack is how can we optimize this harmonization between the systems, and what is the big benefit now? Whoever is involved with it has something less to do, right? Something less on their plate, and gives the ability of the systems to work together.
Right. And of course, many of our clients they're large, complex, as you mentioned earlier. They're global, so they operate in different countries, different jurisdictions, and of course have different applications, different systems for data storage, data processing. And so a lot of the work that we do is to help update when there's efforts underway to kind of harmonize or upgrade a system. We can get in there and help make that transition. And some of the folks on our team have coding experience and do a lot of work with APIs. Is that correct, Anna?
This is correct, and it's very interesting how to see the results of what's happening. So, one example that I have, one of our clients, also a global organization, they have to fulfill thousands and thousands of requests. These are requests, and we've been measuring the time it takes to fulfill. When we started this exercise with all these APIs, the time to fulfill was in the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have demonstrated that the vast majority have been, for some of those areas, are fulfilled within a day. So just to give perspective, because sometimes we say within weeks, what does it mean? Nobody's working on that on weeks. However, there is multiple action items that happen, right, to make sure
Right.
that it's executed. So if you think about what something that it impresses me a lot when I hear of this is when we say time to fulfill is one day, basically just think of what this means, how the technologies are optimized to the level that everything is working without a single person touching the button, and making sure that the customer is satisfied, or the consumer, whoever is asking for this request, we have fulfilled it, and at the same time we minimize the time it takes for them to get a response back.
Yeah, that makes me think of a couple things, Danelle, to just kind of highlight there in terms of those comments. One is that by reducing that response time, you've got happy customers out there. They're getting attended to, and they're getting attended to quickly. Importantly, during this engagement, not only are we able to help with achieving that actual implementation and that function, but we're also helping with the metrics, both, as you say, benchmarking at the beginning where our client is to start, and then showing that concrete improvement. And of course, a lot of the work we do alongside the actual technical implementation work is to help create presentations and metrics and dashboards for our clients so that they can communicate this progress, these improvements upwards to their leadership and to their management teams. So I know and once that's done, we're able to leave them with that dashboard so that they can continue to show improved success over time once the engagement's completed, right?
That is right, and I think that's very important, because we talk about compliance as it is, right? We all know there's regulations that we have to meet. We all know there is audits and so many other ways that we need to fulfill. But that's a good point, Dave, because how do I measure the return on investment? How do I demonstrate that what came to my organization actually is benefiting? So one thing that we try to focus a lot on is in working with our clients is, let's understand what that looks like, because then now we have a metric that makes sense to the organization.
Right.
And to your point, it can be demonstrated back to management and whoever else that how this effectively is getting the organization into a better spot in a maturity stream.
Right. And of course, those solutions, Danelle, are customized for each client because every business culture is different and unique. They want to see things in more detail, less detail, presented this way or that way. So we're able to, one of the things that I think we really pride ourselves on, that we really enjoy, is that we're a small and nimble team, and we really want to work with and understand the client and the customer that way. The other thing we were talking about, Danelle, before we went live here, is the fact that by going through these exercises, these compliance exercises, of course, the original impetus or the motivation is it must be done. These are regulatory requirements. And so there are, these are, to be within compliance of the law, it's necessary to be fulfilling these obligations. However, by implementing these requirements for our clients, we're also better understanding where data is being collected, what systems are being used, how it's being stored. We're looking at deletion records, etc. And by understanding those data flows throughout the organization, we're actually helping to improve data governance as well, right? So the business itself, not only is it accomplishing its legal requirements, but also it's better understanding where data is being collected, what data is being collected, how it's being used, and that can actually help the business achieve its business goals as well, really to run the business more effectively. Have you seen that in some of your engagements?
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's data governance is taking spotlight right now, right? It's taking center stage, and what I've seen from my experience, interestingly, is that data governance sometimes will sit within different groups depending on the circumstances of the organization. So I've seen it sitting under data privacy. I've seen it sitting under information security. I've seen it under IT. And what is interesting, what is something that I've been following a lot, is because depending on who owns that program, obviously the way they're going to measure and the way they're going to fulfill those objectives align with what they have centrally part of their process, right? So if it's owned under data privacy, is heavily focused on customer information, on legality, on making sure we have the right purposes and use. When it follows information security, guess what? Our focus is, protection against data breaches, is making sure that the data is following a process that requires controls, right? And what is entertaining about it is that data governance in itself has its own objectives, and obviously it has its good things, right? That maybe in some organizations, by staying on one side, there is a lot of reach that needs to happen to make sure everyone is in agreement and we make the best use of data governance to the benefit of the organization.
Yeah, you just made me think. Danelle, it's been great in the 3+ years I've been over here at Mina Partners. While I sit on the privacy side of the house, and as of late, as everybody knows, AI governance has been given to privacy professionals to manage as well. So kind of extended into our Center of Excellence is now Privacy and AI Governance Center of Excellence. But the fact that we have within our own firm those the cybersecurity expertise as well as the technology optimization expertise, we can cover that the data security side of the house as well as the privacy. And of course, they go hand in hand. And being able to have a team that has both of those skill sets and team members that we can put on engagements that cover both of those areas, you really get that comprehensive package. So to your point, our project sponsors, they sit in various departments within organizations, and regardless, it's nice to be able to have folks that can communicate within the various different teams and cover off on all those necessary obligations: pen testing, tabletop exercises, cybersecurity audits, as well as helping with the privacy strategy and implementation. So I'm sure you've seen this on some of the larger projects you've been managing recently.
Yeah, we on purpose, we actually make sure there is a blend of team members when depending on the situation of each engagement, because not only it benefits the organization that we have people with different hats sitting at the table with them, giving them their perspective from their experience, their skills, and their knowledge, but just think of how fulfilling it is for our team to be able to collaborate with other people who are in complete different abilities, complete different ways to think, and it's very good to see how sometimes they will challenge each other from the perspective of their knowledge and their experience, and it just creates a better organization, and it gives us these learning opportunities that it's really hard and almost impossible to see out there somewhere else.
Yeah, I know, Danelle. So on the projects that I've been engaged in, one of the most fulfilling things I've seen at the conclusion of a engagement or a kind of a particular statement of work is when we've been brought on. Our primary point of contact is, for instance, in the privacy office, and sometimes they're relatively new. They don't have a lot of experience. Maybe they haven't built up the strength of relationships in legal, in IT, in marketing, kind of the key other departments that they need to liaison to be able to get their work done. And so that when we come in and help to broker those relationships and those meetings, and allow the project sponsor in the privacy compliance seat to communicate with, for instance, the folks over in IT and let them know exactly why these are such important activities, and how we're here to be able to help support the work, the regulatory compliance work that needs to be done. When they get it and they understand, and now they have that relationship with the privacy officer, that's our point of contact. When we've left, that relationship continues. So now when the privacy officer reaches back out to IT and says, hey, remember the project we did, a month ago? And it's like, okay, I know who this is. I know why they're here. And I know how important this is. And I know why we need to be able to engage and be able to help get this work done. So it's creating those bridges interdepartmentally. I'm sure you've seen this in all the projects you've been working on too.
Yeah, and it's into what you're saying. That's why for some of our clients, I personally been, I'm not going to say how many decades, but I think that, and that's what the most fulfilling to me when you're a client that recognizes how we help and how our involvement and our hands-on approach, right? Because they know we're there for them, and we can bridge those gaps, right? That's I call it institutional knowledge. And when I'm in front of the client, I said, this is institutional knowledge. And I will argue with some of them that I might have better institutional knowledge than the vast majority of their own employees, only because of the opportunity of us walking around the different desks to understand the needs of each of them, so we can exactly put something in perspective that is a win-win for everyone, instead of just a tug of war into who's going to get what.
Right. And of course, the demonstration of this is our really high continuation rate for our clients. Just literally yesterday, we signed statement of work number 6, which is going on 3 years with one of the clients that we've been working with. So that's the most fulfilling thing too, when people just realize that there's the work is ongoing and that there's always more to work. And once we've got that experience and got those relationships built up, it's just that much easier to be able to accomplish what we're brought in to help to solve for. So. Well, with that, we've only got a couple minutes left in our session here. Danelle, it's been great chatting with you today. Do you want to just share a little bit more about your team maybe and some of their particular skill sets, and just maybe highlight a little bit what some of the folks are able to do, some of their recent accomplishments, and some of the kind of specific technical things that your team is brought in to do on these engagements?
Yeah, and as we talk about being nimble, right, and being able to solve the problem and focus on the problem, and the type of organizations that we see the organization on one side that has thousands and thousands of access requests, right, and require a significant level of complexity in terms of the technologies that need to speak together. But on the other side, we also have situations where there is a smaller client that is helped. So I'll give you an example. As we have team members that are very comfortable with software development and engineering, in one of these cases, there is an application that is communicating via a technical language that is called JSON, right? And the interesting thing is, because they are a smaller organization, they needed something in Excel. So what our team did is we configure a Python script that basically converts that into an Excel that is readable for that person, so they can do their work. So just giving you perspective, our team is able to grab the pieces and the mental models that they have, and then figure an immediate specific solution for somebody, and it's personalized and dedicated just for what they were trying to solve.
Yeah, that's a great example of the technical in the weeds kind of work that our teams is capable of. And just before we close that, we'd be a little bit remiss in saying that not kind of mentioning that a large percentage of our work has to do with helping companies who are ready to automate their privacy management. Maybe they've been handling things manually, with spreadsheets and other tools, but of course now there are many custom privacy management platforms out there. OneTrust being one of the largest ones. Catch is another partner that we work significantly with. And so when companies are ready to automate those processes and be able to scale back the amount of labor that's taken to provide fulfillment of DSAR, data subject access requests, that's something that we get involved with a lot. And the configuration of those platforms, basically sitting, hands on keyboards right next to internal employees and helping with the configurations of those platforms. I know you've been involved with a lot of those projects as well.
Yeah, that's right. And there is the different types of technologies, right? The market is saturated with a lot of options. And I think the most important that I want to say around that is there is no one size fits all. And
Right.
I think it's important to recognize that, because obviously a solution that works for me might not work for you, and we need to recognize that in advance. And the opportunity that we have with our clients is being able to have that conversation, right? So having the opportunity to have a seat at the table with them and say, what does make sense to you, what are your needs? And I think that that's important, because if we start from the technology driving the conversation, the concern is that when I bring my objectives into it, it might not match perfectly. So that's the only thing I will say in terms of that, to kind of think that through, make sure that you take a step back and then you compare apples to apples to make sure you get the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, with that, we're just about at time. So, Danelle, let me thank you for taking a little time out of your very busy day. We were talking about that earlier today, managing multiple projects right now. So I know you're busy. So really appreciate you taking a little time for us today to share your experience and the experience of your team with the audience out there. And as you can see on the screen, we've got contact information for Danelle. And my contact information is there as well. So please feel free to shoot us a note if you have any questions about Mina Partners. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'll take us to a program close. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.